Hi, this is Ryan Griscom here, and this month we are featuring the Fathers of the Brave Father of the Month, Tom Lynch from Massachusetts. Tom, welcome.
How you doing, Ryan?
Very well, very well. Tom, why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about your story and both your sons, Dan and Kenny.
Sure. My son Dan served with the 173rd Airborne Brigade. It's a little-known airborne brigade out of Vicenza, Italy. As a matter of fact, it's the only active duty airborne brigade that the U.S. maintains in Europe.
Okay.
And Dan had joined the Army when he was 18 and went through Benning, and then was stationed over there in Vicenza, and then was deployed to northeast Afghanistan up in the Korengal, Chowkay, Waigal valleys. Just isn't and wasn't a very pleasant place. He was over there for 15 months in '07, serving with them. Dan's now home. He's an EMT. He's in law enforcement, and he's safely home, thank God. Kenny, my other son Kenny, is now on the u.s.s. Green Bay, steaming west to parts unknown, and he's obviously with the U.S. Navy. He's a computer specialist for them. So that's kind of where we're at right now with my two sons.
All right. Now, why don't you tell us a little bit about, as a dad, what did you personally do to deal with everything, having both of your sons in the military, so from the stress and pressure perspective?
Well, I'll tell you, dads like to think that they, have everything under control, and in general, kind of handle things a little bit differently than the moms would. My wife took a slightly different approach. I know that when your kids are deployed, most of the literature they give you tells you not to watch the news and not to read the papers and not to believe anything that's coming out of your kids' mouths, quite frankly, because a lot of it's outdated or incorrect information. But most of us dads want to, get actively involved, but for about 30 years would probably be over there with our sons. So, at the time, even though it's not true, I thought that I was completely alone in my effort as a dad.
Right.
Many times standing in the driveway or in the backyard with a tear in my eye, which is an understatement, wondering what was actually going on with my son at the time. And again, they tell you not to read the newspapers or watch TV or believe any of the information, but I tried to get my hands on as much information as I could, and I realized that there was so little information coming out, and it really wasn't very healthy for me.
Right.
That I did start to get involved. Very simply, I started out with I threw a card table in the back of my truck and a folding chair and a couple of flags and banners, and I went out to my local Stop and Shop, set up a table out front, and started raising funds and that I could send over to his unit or send to some local groups that could send care packages over, or just raising awareness, letting people know what those kids are up to.
Sure.
And that was the single biggest event when I finally took some action and started to get involved. And it was that simple, setting up a card table out in front of Stop and Shop or the local gas station. And it was amazing at that point how many people really are out there and want to be involved, but just aren't quite sure how.
Right.
To take those first steps.
Right.
And from there, there was a local group here in the Cape Cod Cares for Our Troops, that was started by Dylan DeSilva when he was 12 years old. He's now 17. But Dylan had sent my son Dan what at that time was a milestone for him. It was his 2,000th package.
Wow.
He'd since sent over 10,000 packages overseas.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. And he does great things with the Wounded Warriors, the Gold Star families, the veterans. For a young kid, he's got quite the global reach. But he had sent my son a care package in '07. And I didn't know Dylan or his family at that time. I didn't even know the group existed. And that had such a profound impact on me in regards to the fact that, I thought, we were alone.
Right.
That nobody was really aware of what was going on.
And now what's your biggest piece of advice for other dads who are in your same situation based on everything that you've personally gone through?
Well, I'll tell you, my best advice for the dads is to get involved. Don't just, sit at home reading the newspapers or watching the news, because it will affect you negatively. It's really to get out there and get involved. And groups like Fathers of the Brave, I had met Jimmy Kelly at one point and don't even remember. I just said, come home from a fundraiser and found his business card in my pocket. Said, you know what, this is interesting. I'm going to give this guy a call. And I did, and from there, it's the rest is history. We've had some great conversations and had breakfast, and I realized, you know what, he's saying the same thing I'm saying.
Right.
and had the same struggles, continues to have the same struggles with kids that are in the military or deployed. But certainly just my best advice is to get out there and get involved, and it can start as, like I said, as small as a card table and a folding chair in front of your grocery store. And or reach out to other organizations that send care packages to the troops. There's a lot of them out there. But most definitely groups like Fathers of the Brave is a great resource for dads who may think they're alone. They're not. We all have similar stories, and it is a good thing when you can sit down with another dad, have breakfast or coffee, and talk about your kids.
Yeah, and really that's what Fathers of the Brave is all about, networking with other like-minded dads who are in your same situation, because like you said, a lot of dads just feel like, well, I'm the only person out here, but like you said, there are thousands of other military dads out there who need support but just don't really know how to reach out. So,
absolutely, and Fathers of the Brave is a great resource to get you the information you need to point you in the right direction. Dads love to talk about their kids.
They do. They
love to talk about their kids in the military even more.
And they should. They should be proud.
And again, Fathers of the Brave is a great resource for that. Jimmy Kelly's a great guy, easy to talk to. You're not alone. There's a lot of other dads out there in the same situation. And it may sound a little strange, you know, that you're standing in your driveway or you're out in your backyard at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the morning looking up at the stars and wondering what your son's up to at this particular moment. And really your world kind of closes in on you. You can look around with a clearer mind and see how many groups are out there to support you, but it's taking that first step and getting involved with groups like Fathers of the Brave and meeting people like Jimmy Kelly and realizing that you're not alone.
All right. Well, Tom, thank you very much for all of your insight and sharing your story, both about your two sons, Dan and Kenny. We greatly appreciate it. And for all of you listening, please take Tom's advice. Log on to fathersofthebrave.org. That's fathersofthebrave.org, and become part of the Brotherhood today. So, Tom, thank you again.
Thanks, Ryan. Have a good day.
All right, and we will talk to you.
Okay.